We're hanging out with Kristen Lear today. She's a bat conservationist and environmental educator. She got her start in bat conservation at the age of 12 when she built and installed bat houses for her Girl Scout Silver Award project. And since then, she's been pretty lucky being able to travel all around the world, United States, Australia, Mexico, learning how to protect endangered bats. And she likes to share her passion for protecting bats with the public. So, Kristen, it's so great to steal a little bit of your time today. It looks like a beautiful day in Georgia. We're excited to get to know you and learn a little bit about the bats.
Thank you so much. Can you all hear me? If you can hear me, put up your bat hands. Perfect. Yay. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Joe, for the introduction. I'm very, very excited to be here. Bat conservation is my passion. So to be here today is a real honor to share with you my journey through becoming a bat conservationist, and also sharing how you can become involved in bat conservation now, even at your age, like I did. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. We do have a question and answer session at the end. So if you have any questions, just jot them down and then keep them in your brain, and then we'll have the question and answer session at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. Okay, can you all see that?
All right, looks like it's loading up.
Okay. There you go. Can you all see that?
Perfect, full screen. Looks
Perfect.
good.
Awesome. Is that little bar in the way at the bottom or no?
Oh, no, no worries.
Perfect. So yeah, like I said, my name is Kristen Lear, and I am a bat conservationist and National Geographic explorer. So I will be talking a bit about my journey through science, becoming a bat conservationist, some cool things about bats, and then how you can help bats yourself. So as a bat conservationist, I work to protect bat species around the world. And I've been lucky enough to work with some really neat bats throughout different parts of the world. So the US, Australia, now I work in Mexico. So I think bats are really cute, and these are just some of the really cool bats that I've gotten to work with over the years. But my journey didn't start just in university or in college. It actually started much earlier than that. So this is me when I was a toddler, playing on the beach. I loved getting my hands dirty. I loved being outside, exploring, picking up things like in this picture, trying to figure out how the world works and what kind of animals and creatures I could find. So this was kind of my growing up, my passion. But growing up, I was also in Girl Scouts. So I went through Girl Scouts all the way from kindergarten through high school, continued in college, and I'm still a Girl Scout member and leader now. And part of what I loved doing as a Girl Scout was going on night hikes. So when we would go camping, we would go on night hikes where we'd wander around the forest in the middle of the night with our leaders, of course. But we'd listen for all the things we could hear. We'd see owls flying. We'd see spider eyes with our flashlights. But my favorite part of the night hikes were hearing the bats flying around. You could hear their little echolocation calls sometimes. You could see them zipping around and flying, hunting their insect prey. And so those night hikes, what really got me interested in bats, because I think they're really, really cool. And so in 6th grade, like Joe mentioned, I built and put up bat houses in a local park in my hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio. So this is me with one of the bat houses, and my dad and my grandpa and my mom, who all helped me. And this was my first foray into being a bat conservationist, even at this really young age. I always rooted for the underdog. I don't know if anyone is like me like that, where you want things that other people don't like, you want to support them. So things like spiders and snakes and bats that a lot of people don't understand or are afraid of when they shouldn't be. And so that's why in 6th grade, I wanted to help bats. And so I learned through my project, and I continued learning about bats, I learned that there's a huge diversity of bat species or types of bats around the world. These are just some of the really cool bats that I think are really neat looking. And And I learned that bats, there are now 1,406 species, so over 1,000 species of bats around the world, and they make up 20% of all mammal species. So one in every 5 mammals is a bat. So if 5 of you sitting there were mammals, one of you would be a bat. So they're really important. They're found everywhere except Antarctica. And I learned that bats are mammals. So bats are mammals just like horses, dogs, squirrels, cats, and even us. We're mammals too. And I learned something really cool, that bats actually have the same bones in their arms and in their hand as we do. So you can see the top human arm and hand, and then the bottom is the bat hand and arm, and you can see it actually has the exact same bones. And if you see those really long yellow bones, those are its fingers. So basically, bats fly with their fingers and their hands. So I think jazz hands is what I think of, and they're really cool. They fly with their really long fingers. And like I said, they're found everywhere on the world except Antarctica. So you can find bats in your own backyard. I'm sure you've seen bats in your own backyard. And I also learned that bats are really, really important for both the environment and for us. So bats help disperse seeds, which means some bats eat fruit, like the one in the top left. And when they eat fruit, they spit out or they poop out the seeds of the plants. And then those seeds then grow into a new plant. So bats are really important for helping regrow tropical rainforests and many other areas around the world. Bats also pollinate. They're very important pollinators. So like butterflies and moths and hummingbirds, bats are also pollinators. So they pollinate things like mango plants and bananas, agaves, things that we eat. So without bats, we wouldn't have mangoes or chocolate. We wouldn't have any of that stuff. And then also bats eat a lot of insects. So there are most of the bat species eat insects. Like this moth here, you can see it's chasing. And when they eat these insects, they eat a lot of pest insects. So insects that eat our agricultural crops, for example, or mosquitoes that bother us. So those bats are eating those pest insects and helping control those insect populations. So without bats, we'd have a lot more mosquitoes and other nasty insects that we really don't want around. But unfortunately, bats are under threat around the world. So a lot of bat species are losing their habitat. We're cutting down trees to make new developments or to make farm fields. So they're losing their habitat. People also will go out and kill bats because, a lot of people don't understand bats, and so they think that they're bad and should kill them, but they really shouldn't. And also there's some diseases that are affecting bats. So there's one really bad disease here in the US called white nose syndrome, which has killed a lot of bats, and it's really, really sad for the bat populations. So because of all these issues and these threats to bats, I'm working as a bat conservationist, to help protect bats around the world. And it's my passion, so it's something I love doing. And I've gotten to see some really cool things and do some really neat things as a bat conservationist. So I get to go out and catch bats. This is again for study, so we don't just go out and catch bats for fun. We study them, we see how their populations are doing. So I get to actually hold and see some really cool bats to study them. I get to go in some really big caves to find bats that are roosting in caves. So I get to explore some neat caves. I get to crawl around really tight spaces in caves, which is one of my favorite parts of being a bat conservationist. I also have gotten to go inside caves where there's thousands and thousands of bats and actually walk up giant mounds and piles of guano, which is bat poop, again to study the bats, but it's quite a fun experience. I've also gotten to see millions of bats. This is in Bracken Cave in Texas, where there's about 15 million Mexican free-tail bats coming out of this cave. So I've gotten to see them up close. And I get to stay up all night sometimes as a bat conservationist because bats are out at night, so I have to stay out at night too to study them. But again, I want to really stress that you don't have to go to school necessarily to be a bat conservationist and to help bats. I got my start, in sixth grade at 12 years old. So it's never too early to start helping bats. So now I just want to talk a little bit about some ways to help bats. And then I have some bat houses here that you can actually see and we'll go visit. So you can help bats too. I think one of the easiest ways any of you and all of us can help bats is to tell your friends and family how neat bats are and how important they are for the environment and for people. This is a really easy thing to do. Just talk to your parents, tell them, oh, I learned about bats and they're really neat. Talk to your friends and kind of spread the word about bats. You can also work either in your class or with your family to plant a bat garden in your yard or your school. So this is a really neat thing to do where if you plant flowers that bloom at night, those flowers will then attract the bats that feed on the insects that are feeding on the plants. So it's like its own little ecosystem, and it's a really neat way to help bats in your own backyard. You can also adopt a bat from a bat organization. So you won't actually, adopt, you won't actually get a bat. But what you do with these programs like Bat Conservation International or Bat World Sanctuary, you sponsor a bat, you donate some money, and then you get information about the bat species that you're helping. And in the case of Bat World Sanctuary, you actually learn about the individual bat that they're rehabilitating or taking care of in their sanctuary. And so this is a cool class project. I did something like this with puffins when I was in second grade. So it's a fun thing to do to help bats. And then also you can put up a bat house. So these are two bat houses you can see, two different types of bat houses. And what you do when you build a bat house, and I'll show you in a little bit, you build it and you put it up, and then the bats will come and they'll live in the bat house. So this is a photo of a local Girl Scout troop here in Athens, Georgia, where I live. And I helped them build bat houses to put up in a local park. And it was a really easy thing to do. They really enjoyed it. And then we got to put it up, and they helped us install these bat houses. And this is actually where we are today to actually get to see them. This is a kindergarten class with one of my friends from Cincinnati, and she and her class also built several different bat houses and put them up on the wall of their school as a class project. So again, it's a really fun way to help bats. And as a bat scientist, I get to actually use some really cool equipment, which I'll show you in a minute, to study the bats in the bat houses. So these are some pictures of an infrared camera, which is basically a way to see in the dark. It's a light that comes out of the camera, and we can't see it. The bats can't see the light, but the camera can see that light, and then we can watch the bats in the dark. So this is a video of the bats coming out of the bat houses in the evening. And you can see them, there's probably several hundred bats in these bat houses. And we love having them around because they're eating, I'll play that again, they're eating the pest insects like mosquitoes in our backyards. So we really like having these bats around. And then this is, so using those infrared cameras that I just mentioned, this is watching them come out of the bat house in slow motion. You can see they just drop out of the bat house and then fly off. And they kind of jump out. Pretty cool. And then this is a thermal imaging video. So this is basically the heat signature of the bat. So it's seeing the heat of the bats. You can see them coming back into the bat houses in the morning. So they latch onto the bottom of the bat house and they crawl up into the inside. And then they sleep there during the day. I'll play that one more time. So you can see it landing and then crawling up. So with this cool equipment, we can actually see these bats in action. And we also can see inside the bat houses. So this is some pictures of us using a scope on a big pole where we use a camera on the end, and we can actually see into the bat houses during the day. So can you all see those little bats up there? So those are two little bats that are roosting inside these bat houses, and they're cuddled up real snug because they actually like to live together in groups. And then this is a video of them inside the bat house during the day. So you can see they're cuddled up together. They basically sleep throughout the day, and they socialize, they groom each other. So they're really cool to watch. I'll play it again. They're kind of just chilling out. And before I show you the bat houses we have here, I just want to say, feel free to email me with any questions about bat houses or how to build them and put them up. I do a lot of consulting kind of with classes, so feel free to email me if you have any questions about bats or how to help them. So now let's go see some real bat houses. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then we're going to take a little walk to see the bat houses here. Okay, let's see if I can stop sharing. Let's see. Let's see. Trying to figure out how to stop sharing.
There should be a little button up there that should say stop the screen share.
Gotcha. There you go.
You're back.
Better now? Okay.
Yep.
So let's take a little walk. Okay. So I'm going to show you. We're in a park. So this is a park in Athens, Georgia, where I live and work. And can you see the bat house right there? There it is. So I'll take you over and we can actually see what they look like up close. Can you all see that up there? Yeah, so that's one of the bat houses, and it's actually really tall. I'll go stand right next to it so you can actually see how high up it is, because the bats like it up really high. So there's the pole, and there's the bat houses. And there's actually 6 bats in there right now. So they're sleeping in there. And that video that I showed you of the bats inside the bat house, it's those same 6 bats. So they're in there. And then this, real quick, I'll show you the equipment. So this is the equipment that we use to monitor the bats. So this is that infrared camera that I talked about. And then this is the infrared lamp. So this is the light, the infrared light, to actually watch the bats come out. And then real quick, before we have question time, I want to show you so you see what they look like. So this is a bat house. This is one of the ones that's up there that we just saw, but it has a cutout so you can see the inside. So basically what is inside is, they're called chambers. They're basically different rooms of the bat house. And the bats land, so the bats will land here and then crawl up in there to sleep during the day. And so this is a really easy thing to build. This is what the Girl Scouts helped build. And so it's a really easy thing to do. And then you can paint it any color you want. You can paint a picture on it. You can paint bats on it, or a cool color like a blue color. So there's a lot of really neat things you can do with bat houses. And then finally, one last thing. Excuse me. Before I go, I want to show, this is a specimen of a bat that we might find in these bat houses. And actually, this is the one that's up there right now. So this is a museum specimen, so it's not alive anymore. But this is a big brown bat. And you can see that it's not very big. It's only about the size of your palm. Can you all see that? Yeah. So you can see its wings are really thin wings. This is their arm right here, and their wing, and their little ears, because they have really good ears. They're not blind, they all have eyes, but they also have ears that they use to hear their echolocation with. And yeah, they're just really, really small. All the ones we have here in the US are pretty small. And you can see the little tail down here. I'll show you the tail. So that's its little tail. So yeah, that's kind of the world of bats in a nutshell.